Well, welcome everyone. We're excited to have you all here. This is our second AI demo and learn public session that we've had. So we had one last month with Code Puppy, and I was the guinea pig kind of going through building a portfolio website because that's something we all should have if we don't have one. And we had really good engagement, so we're here again to focus on a different topic. A little bit more just about this group. There was a few of us that kind of just came together. I want to say like late spring, early summer, Rob, Elliot,
Yeah.
sometime in there.
hmm
And we are just all interested in AI. We all worked at different places, had different backgrounds. So it was a really interesting mix of people where we could just be honest about like things that were working, things that weren't working. Maybe in our day job, there was, we ran into some issue with AI and how did a different business handle it? Like there was just a lot of collaboration early on and different points of view. I mentioned the like technical knowledge spectrum is pretty wide as well. So we are glad that you're all here. We have a Discord community that, Rob, I think you're going to paste a link in the chat for that. There's discussions there. There's information about the events as well. Elliot mentioned before all of you hopped on that there's also a recurring meeting invite that he can send to any of you that are interested in just like having it on your calendar. So it's there and you can attend if you're available. Um, Rob, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, great intro, and thank you, Amanda. Yes, I'm excited to talk to you about a topic today that is going to be very accessible, I think, to a lot of people, and very interesting for a lot of different reasons. And before I get into that, though, I want to make a quick mention to some of our founders. We've got Elliot here. Some of these folks are not on the call. Jenna, Adams Valadez, Amanda, of course, Ben Faust, David Farrell, who's on the call here, Henry Tan, Katie McCoy, Shadon Cornelio, Zachary Nelson. So a good core group of people that kind of came together, as Amanda stated, out of a common interest of actually getting hands-on with this stuff. There's too much changing too rapidly in the space of AI to keep up with it individually. So how do we kind of divide and conquer? How do we learn about the things that are interesting to us and then show that and demo it to the group? And that's kind of what we're doing today, as a continuation and expansion of that. So today the topic is creating custom GPTs through ChatGPT. And one thing to note here is that you will need a ChatGPT paid account, so a plus account specifically or higher, in order to get the custom GPT part of it. But there are a lot of people that do have this paid account, and if you don't have one, I do use it daily in my own workflows, and it's very valuable for me. This is not a paid sponsorship from ChatGPT. Just want to make that clear, but it has been a really valuable ad thing for me as well. So what we're going to do is hands-on and collaborative here. And what I'd like to do here is just we're going to talk about what is a GPT, what is a custom GPT, and how can we create one together. So what I'll do here is I will ask, you guys first off, have you ever used ChatGPT or any other LLM and said, hey, I feel like I'm just, repeating the same prompts a lot. I have a business that I'm running and I have to do a lot of things like email writing or whatever it is. Or there's some really specific use case that you're using that maybe, could be repeatable. Something to give you a structured output every time you ask it instead of just, you know, the same kinds of things and a lot of repetition. This is more getting into the world of what you'll hear about as agentic AI or creating AI agents. So it's not a general AI here, it's creating something that is, going to complete a specific task or set of tasks for you. Okay. So let's just talk high level first off. And I think it would help if I shared my screen with you just to show you how to get to this in ChatGPT. Okay. So here we are at the home screen. And you'll see a few different things. If you're not used to their user interface, you'll see you have your new windows, your search, your image, your apps, codex, the coding piece of it, and then GPTs that you may have created here. And if you go into Explore GPTs, you will see that there are, a number of ones that have been created by the community that you can go into. But more interesting than that, you can go ahead and create your own. And so if you hit the create button up here in the top left, this is where we enter the world of creating a custom GPT. And what that means is a couple different things. You could start to configure and create that through a chat session, or you can go into configure and do this all manually. Now, preference for me, I like to do it manually, and I'll kind of explain why in a minute. But it's just as easy if you want to create a starting point to use this create button and just chat with it. So before we get into, a good back and forth here, again, this is supposed to be an interactive experience and collaborative. So I'm going to ask you guys, if you were to create a custom GPT for a certain kind of task, maybe it's something to do with, your business or with, your preferences, things that you might be doing in your own life, for example. Any ideas that come to mind?
Feel free to pop them in the chat as well.
Hey Robert, I'm Veena. So
Yeah,
I'm
maybe.
yeah, I'm in a job search mode again, and I'm still like trying to upload my resume, upload the job description, and tailor it every time. So is that something? It's good use case for this?
I think that's a great use case for this. So you have a resume. Let's just
Mhm.
talk this through a little bit before we start asking it to create something. And you have you're having to do things like, maybe generate emails or to send to recruiters maybe, or you're trying to generate an output of a certain fields, for example, that you would enter into forms. Is that kind of what you're having to see that repetition happening?
Yeah, I mean, especially every time I have like a basic resume or like the common resume, and to
Yeah.
be selected by ATS every time I have to update it or I have to tailor it to make sure that it covers the correct keywords so that it is picked by ATS. So
Yeah, that's a really great option. And Vina, if it do you have a Chat GPT Plus account, just out of curiosity?
not plus, I use ChatGPT a lot. I use
Yeah.
Claude a lot too, but I can
Okay.
get this definitely.
Yeah. No, no. The reason I ask is yeah, because there are different ways to do this. This just happens to be the one we're talking to today. But if you have a preference, there are other ways to make agents through other systems. But let's just go with that and let's just start that. So what I usually do here, and again, you can create it here through this. What would you like to make? How would you, Vina, how would you say, how would you describe what it is that you'd like to make?
Uh,
We'll put it right in the prompt here. We'll do this live.
okay, so just like every time, it should have my uh, I have used ChatGPT for multiple different uh, like variations, and it should have all those variations, and
Yeah.
then based on those variation, it should select the best experience or best skill set that matches the job description and give me a very tailored ATS friendly resume.
Ah, okay. Okay. So maybe you are an agent that is an expert in ATS for job applications and resumes. Um, if I give you a resume, I need you to um, analyze it for ATS compliance, right?
Yeah.
And give me a structured, repeatable analysis of your findings. Because and well, why would that be? Why is this important to you?
And so it gets picked up by recruiters, right? So it
Yeah,
is not rejected. It just
perfect.
not automatically.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's just start with that. Okay. It can be very simple. So what it's doing here is it's starting to create this configuration. So there's a separate configuration here, Vina, that it's going to create. So this is a good way if you're just brand new to creating an agent. Okay, so here, I suggest naming the GPT ATS Resume Auditor. I think that sounds like a good name. Does that work for you? Or is there a specific something else? Do you like that one?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. So we're going to give it that, and it's going to kind of guide us through some of this here. So it's even going to generate a picture. The picture's not necessary, but it's nice as an icon, to sit on your board there when you're looking at these. So here we go. You got a nice little picture, a resume, and a looking glass here. Um, uh, let's leave it like that. Do you like that picture? Is it satisfactory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most important thing.
Aesthetics are extremely important. Okay.
Rob, there is a question that came into the chat from Hussein.
Yes.
Upon creating a new GPT, would it be a private GPT to start with? Would you train it, or could it be shared with others in the future?
That's a great question. And the answer is it could be either or. You as a user have the ability to either share this with other people, and make it public in their GPT store,
Yeah.
or you can keep it private to yourself. So especially if you're getting into really, really specific things, I usually do keep those to myself. But yeah, you're more than welcome to publish it out there for the world who might also want to enjoy it. So
Sure.
good
Yeah,
question.
thanks for that. And I believe we will come to the configure area, I believe, a little bit in a while, I
Yes.
believe. Okay, thanks.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so when analyzing resumes, should this GPTs be strict and conservative, flagging even minor risks, or practical and outcome facing or focus, right? So I mean, I think you can tell me what you think, Vina. I think if it were me, I would probably want it to be pretty strict, flagging things that might be an issue for ATS.
Yes, definitely. It should flag. It's not only flag, it should just correct it.
Oh, okay, okay,
It should just do it and give it to me like this is like better. It's just for validation. Okay, this looks good. So it should
yeah,
rewrite for me and show me what are the changes that it made so I can validate it and say, yeah, I will download it. Something like that.
okay, okay,
Minimal work for me.
okay, perfect. Okay, let's see what it does with that. And what's great about this, and Hussein, this comes back to your question is too, is once we get through this general setup, we're going to go into the configuration. You're going to see the instructions. This is the internal prompt or the brain that's feeding this thing. And what's great is it's a text box, so you can edit, you can change anything that you want to tweak, you can fine tune it, and refining is part of the process. And this that we'll get to is we get an output, we test it, and then we can go back and refine it if it's not quite what we were looking for.
Great.
Okay. So when delivering sections, do you prefer clean and optimized replacements only, side by side before after comparisons, or inline stack track style explanations showing you exactly what changed and why? What do you like best out of that, Vina?
I think inline is good so I can compare it at this spot
Okay,
and just make sure, like, yeah, I agree with this, it, or I don't agree with it, something like that.
perfect. So inline it is.
So it's like you're signing off, essentially. You're saying, like,
Yeah.
I accept.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. And should the GPT automatically tailor rewrites to the specific industry if identified, or remain industry neutral unless the user provides a specific job description? What do you think? Do you want it to be more general or more tailored?
Uh, I would say it should be more tailored towards a specific
Okay.
industry.
Do we want to state the industry?
You have an industry in mind, Vina, that you would like to kind of focus on for the example?
Huh. Actually, that's what I was thinking. Like, wouldn't it identify it from my resume itself? Like, okay, ideally, this is the industry you are targeting, and
Maybe, maybe. Why don't we ask it to ask us? Unless specified, ask the user to provide an industry. This kind of covers both of our bases. So it'll prompt you
yes, yes.
back if you haven't already said what it is. Okay, we're getting close. Should the GPT optimize primarily for large corporate, mid-sized startups, or adjust based on the user specific? I think we're trying to be general with this. Like you may
Yes,
want to be variable. Um,
kind of everything.
yeah, yeah. And this is also a good point with custom GPTs here is that you can get as specific as you want. If you want a really, really hard coded almost algorithm, that's always going to be specific for product manager jobs in California, for example, then you can tell it that and it can get that specific. Um, do you want this GPT to enforce maximum resume length? Okay, so strictly one page standards or anything else there?
Yeah, I would think simply flagging length risk. It's okay,
Okay.
because sometimes, yeah, there is like important information that you shouldn't skip, and it's going beyond one page.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
it'll get to this, but I have noticed with just like dumping, whether it's resume content or just like something with a lot of bullets or whatever, into just pure ChatGPT, the format gets really wonky. So I'm wondering like how it's going to address that. I know this, we're kind of tailoring it towards ATS compliance,
Yep.
but that's something I'd be worried about. Like the page rolling onto a second page kind of made me think of that.
Mm.
So we're going to start testing it now. Okay. We haven't even fully done it yet. We haven't done any configuration. But what we want to do here is just kind of like use some data to test it, right? So you can ask it. You can just ask it for seed data to test it. And this is what I usually do when I'm in this creation phase is just say, hey, give me some scenarios to test. So that's what I did here. Okay, let's start testing. Give me a mock resume to test with. So I'm going to paste this directly in and we're going to see what it does. So we have here Michael Thompson. You've got a professional profile, core competencies, experience, education, technical skills, and then everything else on request. So we're gonna just copy and paste this directly in, and we're doing this live here, guys. So let's just see what happens. Okay, here we go. So ATS resume audit. We see here that it is assuming a target industry, which is interesting. Here, did we tell it? We didn't really tell it specifically. Okay. And your assumed ATS environment here, Workday, Talio, Greenhouse, overall. Okay, so it generated this mock-up and it actually gave it a 58 out of 100, but it put it into categories. And I think this is pretty cool, Vina, for, if you were wanting to get into this kind of a specificity, or you can, like, we'll go into the config in a second and see if there's things that are specifically important to you. But here is what it captured. So formatting and parsing, it gave it a score as an 80 and it gave it a low. Let's look for one here that it didn't do too well. Measurable achievements. They didn't put a lot of achievements in here. So it gave it a 25 and listed it as a critical. Let's see what else here. Experience details and ranking signals 40 gave it a high. So now it's going to start to get into the specifics and why it's doing that. So no quantified achievements. Weak keyword density. Okay. Core competencies here. And then here's some rewrite. So just like we asked it to your professional profile, we have this, it's giving us some suggestions, some problems here, and here is the rewrite. So now you have something like kind of what we talked about here, which is a rewrite
Yeah,
that includes the problems that
one-to-one,
are,
one-to-one
yeah,
comparison.
and the justification of why this works. again, here's core competencies, here are the problems, and here is the rewrite here. So I like this already. What do you think, Vina?
Yeah, this is awesome.
So as we keep on going through here is another section here with operations manager. Here are the original bullets that were there. Here's some more custom, bullets that you could put in there. Business analyst, and it just kind of goes through the process here. So overall length assessment, 1 page, approximately 7 to 9 years experience, no immediate risk length here, and then a reusable checklist here. So at the end of it, we have include some optimizations as a checklist here for your uses. Okay, so then you can provide a target job description. Here you can confirm the industry. So it's already starting to prompt you and give you more details here. So first off, let's just I'll talk about that for a second. I'm going to ask everybody in the group, what did you think of this process so far using the automated service? Did you like it? Are there things that you would like to test or change?
I think for me, it doesn't seem like this example is very basic. So in my mind,
Yeah.
like, you're probably doing a lot of this same stuff, but just with ChatGPT prompts,
Yep.
right? But I think if it could be refined to the point where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, here's a JD, here's like, it already understands your resume and your background. And then you're like filling in a couple things like that we made optional, like the industry, and there was a couple other parameters. Then I think
Yeah.
it could be really cool because it could just like do that while Venus off
Yeah.
doing something else. Maybe she gives it 10 JDs to go look at. Then she comes
Mm-hmm.
back and there's 10 resumes that are like ready to go. Like, I think that's very
Yeah.
powerful. We're kind of like, early on in that process, I think, to getting there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right.
and
And this is a refinement. Go ahead,
yeah.
Gina.
Another thing I was thinking, like, means, like, I have experience across multiple industries, so
Mm-hmm.
I can apply to any of that industries. So
Yeah.
if I have 5 or 10 resumes already uploaded to ChatGPT, then if I give job description, it should select the appropriate experience and appropriate things to showcase. So it should kind of
Yeah.
optimize it for that job description, and it should
Mm-hmm.
collect from all, because not every resume I have all the experience. Nowadays people are saying don't put more than 10 years experience. I have 25. So but if it is relevant, I want to put it there. So if
Yeah.
this agent can do that for me, it will solve a lot of trouble. So that
Yeah.
this is more like, you can just say job description and do it 8 years friendly,
Yeah.
but it's like more like optimization.
Yeah.
Well,
On
let's
the
get into that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Rob, on the similar lines,
Yeah.
given a job description and we have received, we are hiring, suppose 5 engineers, it should select shortlist, at least couple of them and show the which one is most relevant, fitting. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So let's just look at that. Let's look at what's going on under the hood. So remember, we were in create mode before, and now we can switch over to configure. So here is where, if you wanted to upload your own photo, you could do that. You could change the name, you could change the description. The instructions, this is the core brain. So we'll come back to this in just a second. Let's just look through the rest of the little inputs here. So conversation starters. If you were to start a new chat, there's usually those little boxes that say like, here's some things that you can ask the agent. That's all these are. This is just a way to kind of give people ideas on what to choose. Knowledge base. So if you're using this specifically for your resume, and you weren't going to change a lot, you could potentially, load your resume in here as an upload again and keep this private, and then start to feed job descriptions into it. For example, you could potentially do something like that, and then it would help you to tweak it based on that job description. So that would be another potential use of it. Models recommended. You can pick the model from the grouping here, or you can just have it auto select. And then other capabilities: web search, canvas, image generation, and code interpreter. These are pieces here that could be relevant to you if in whatever kind of search you're doing. So if you're doing some research-based thing, a web search is going to be pretty good. If you're going to be doing any kind of writing, email drafting, or things like that, Canvas could be good. Image generation is, just, it could be a creative design type of agent, for example, or code interpreter, data analyst. This is more along the lines that people are building, that are coding, that are looking for, maybe some code help or structuring conversations there. So those are kind of some of the core. And then you have this actions section here. And this is a little bit past the scope of this conversation, but you could tie this to other services via, an API key here. So again, a little bit more technical than this. If you wanna talk about this, we can talk about it more in the Discord at another time. But there is some more customizing, option there through the actions. But let's get into the core here in the instructions. Let's just look at what it built first of all. So we told it that we wanted it to be strict, so you can see the name of it, and that it's a strict detail-oriented application tracking system. And it's evaluating resumes based on this. Okay. We are analyzing the resumes in a structured, repeatable framework that includes key alignment, target roles, formatting, parsing, everything we kind of told it there. It's just breaking this out specifically. So this is all editable. So if you see something, Vina, as we're going through this that you don't like, let's just edit it and see what happens. When the user provides a resume, it delivers an overall ATS compliance score with transparent scoring criteria, a structured breakdown by category, specific parsing and ranking risks, a keyword gap rewritten pieces of it, right? Those inline format showing the changes in why. The why is important here. It is actually specifically doing that for us. And then reusable strict ATS optimization checklist. There's some assumptions here that it was, parsed with common enterprise ATS platforms. Here are some of the names of those. It's a strategy. Here is that it could be anything. If we want to get that specifically to like startups, for example, or enterprise level, we can change it to just enterprise level and just edit the prompt. So it's just, let's just say we just want enterprise here. We can change it to just that. And we see here if no job description is given here to ask for it. It'll flag length risks here, feedback, formatting, and then if the user requests a mock or sample resume for testing. It's interesting too. We didn't actually we just did that as a test, but it actually built it in. So let's just delete that one because that wasn't really meant for what we were trying to do. Does not claim to access a proprietary algorithm. Again, and the responses are structured. And the tone is analytical, direct, and recruiter calibrated. Okay. So is there anything that you kind of were wanting to see there, Vina, that maybe it didn't quite get on the mark? In general, it's pretty comprehensive for most of the things that I would look for, I think.
Yeah, nothing
But
is
let's
coming.
do this. Maybe we just don't know. Let's go ahead and go back to our create and say, don't change anything yet. But let's chat about what we could do to make it better. Really generic, and you can use this for just about anything that you're looking to build here within ChatGPT. Is this common theme of, hey, don't go edit it because there's a tendency to go and just rewrite it automatically. So here, good. Before we decide anything, let's decide what better means strategically. Okay, so how we want to improve it. So again, the question that we were thinking about was, how could we make this brain better? How could we optimize it further? I'm not really sure off the top of my head how to do that, but let's talk about it. So scoring model, severity logic. So what counts as high or medium risk? Rewrite aggressiveness, output structure, keyword gap methodology, or something else. I think let's try to even find get to the structure. What do you think? Should we create something that is going to be a little bit tighter? It's pretty wordy right now. can we make the output a bit tighter?
Rob, I think one observation here that I think translates to
Yeah.
just anytime you're using an LLM, the specificity is preferred. Like you're going to have a way better output, I think, the more specific you are. That said, sometimes I will intentionally be vague to see what assumptions it makes. So I think there's kind of two sides of that, but it's that those instructions were in my mind like pretty explicit, and then it seemed like the suggestions it was giving you was like, well, tell us how to handle all these
Going
additional things.
wider. Yeah, going wider.
Right. Okay, so this is what it's saying here right now. It will use shorter bullets, limit explanations. Before we test, you want scores to display as single overall only, weighted category tables, compact, or high, medium, or low. Let's just do single percent only. Let's just see what it does here. If we were trying to get to that. And then what we'll do is we'll look at the configuration after it's done here. Okay, so we're doing one overall score. So let's go back here and look at this single overall compliance score. So it already put that in the resume right away. So again, this is taking everything that we have and editing it. You can see that it didn't edit a whole lot more, at least off the cuff here. I'm not seeing a lot of really specific things. It did say output must be tight, efficient, and executive level, right? So again, if you're doing multiple iterations of this and you're not wanting to read this, like a bunch of these, or as Amanda said, maybe you're feeding it a bunch of JD job descriptions here, and you want to just be able to boom, 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 see everything that's happening. Maybe we could. So let's go back here and ask for another mock resume.
Rob, I wonder if someone has tried, I don't know, I'd be curious to like look around in the store and see if there's some paid version of this out there, because I bet I mean thousands of
I
people are doing this manually today. Like
Yeah. And you could see here's the thing between using general chat GPT also and using something that's an agent that you fine-tuned as a model. Again, you're getting into that realm where you're competing with paid tools potentially, right? Like you pay a tool to give you some sort of repeatable process. Here, you're actually defining what that process is, which makes this pretty powerful, I think.
Rob, I know you're on the pro subscription.
Yeah.
I wonder if there any sort of limits to, like, let's say I create this and
Mhm.
I'm putting in 100 job descriptions or resumes a day, or like, is there any sort of like capacity that you're gonna hit?
That's a good question. And I use the heck out of ChatGPT, and I've never run across a limit, at least not yet.
'Cause I
I
know
don't I
like
don't
sometimes
know if
it'll
you're
float.
automating like huge amounts, if
Yeah.
that would. There is like a extremely high version of this that supposedly has more output, and faster processing and things like that. But I don't know for like this intents and purposes, unless you are using some sort of a like automated engine where you're feeding it a ton of stuff. I don't know that it would make a whole lot of difference to you.
Yeah.
Um, but here we go. So overall ATI compliance score. This is just more in your face. It's more pointed. It gives you high risks. It gives you medium risks and low risks. Parsing. So you can already see here that it's gotten a lot less verbose. It's gotten a lot more pointed in what it's giving you. So at a glance here, you can see a lot more of what it is looking at. Parsing and ranking, then keyword gap analysis, and then section rewrite. So it did give you those still. That's good. And then getting to length risk here. Again, you have a checklist here that you can use. And it did ask you again here, so give it a job description. I don't have a job description. Let's say is for a product manager role in again, I picked San Francisco because it's super highly competitive within that space. Now it
Yeah.
gave you a 38%. Okay, so it said like maybe you need to up your game a little bit more if you want to be competitive within the San Francisco market. And why, more specifically? Yep,
Rob, we did get
analysis.
one additional comment in the chat.
Yeah.
Suggest we ask it for recommendations on how the tool's capabilities can be expanded.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, because I think that other prompt you did was more of like, I don't know, an
It
assessment
was
of what
very
we already
general.
had. Yeah, but this is
Yeah.
kind of more like, okay, here's what we have. How could it be better?
Yes.
Thank you, Sabaya, for the suggestion there.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Interesting. So it's already starting to rewrite. We'll see what it comes up with this time. And this again, do you see the difference here between the two times where I said don't do anything yet? I specifically told it, and then we talked about it. Versus here, I just give me recommendations that it automatically started to start writing or updating something. Okay. So here are some high leverage ways to expand the tool's capabilities. Simulated ATS ranking. Okay. Move beyond compliance to a simulated ranking strength. Recruiter read time optimization. That's an interesting one right there. How much of it at a glance is it from a skimming perspective? Industry specific keyword libraries. Okay. Seniority calibration engine, anti-keyword stuffing detection. Interesting. Uh,
I like that
uh,
That's a
one.
good one.
yeah. Uh, let's actually do that. Okay. I want,
It's interesting to hear that from an LLM. Like,
right?
I feel like that is what they do the most. Like, often I
Uh-huh.
get to, draft an email or whatever, and it's like 5 paragraphs or something that could be like,
Yeah.
and it's just like buzzword central
Interview signal protection. Let's
prediction.
just do that one. Yeah. Okay. I want these. I'm just going to say I want those. Let's see. Okay. All right. So now it detects flags and keyword stuffing patterns, identifies skill dumping without proof. Okay. So we're going to ask it for another test here. Give me a sample resume that intentionally has some keyword stuffing test detection. Okay, so Mr. David here is really stuffing with keywords here to try to get into some positions. Let's just see.
I noticed it had agile listed like 10 times. So,
Hey, there you go. Okay. So it gave it a rank, risk breakdown, parsing, ranking, anti-keyword stuffing. Here's what we just asked it for. Excessive excessive repetition of agile, 18 plus instances. It said Jira 3 times, skill dumping without contextual proof, and then some summary is algorithm heavy. Okay. But recruiter unfriendly. Okay. And then interview defensibility risks high. Claims lack measurable evidence. Improve KPIs without numbers. Drove agile transformation without scope. Okay. So again, you have this thing, and let's do one more example. Uh, and this one here is just going to be to test it without any iterations or any changes to it. Okay. We're just going to test it again and see how similar the output is to the first time we did it. Because that's part of the beauty of this and creating these custom GPTs is that you can specify it to a really specific output. And if you want it to say in the prompt and the instructions, give me this section and then this section and this section, do not deviate from these sections that we are doing and don't put anything else out there. It will do that. It'll get that specific for you. which can be very good with some use cases. So now we have another one. Okay, let's see here. Risk breakdown, parsing risk. Yep, this looks the same. Headers. Okay, we have anti-keyword stuffing. This one really likes SQL. Interview defensibility. Major issues. Okay, penalty risk here. And then it gets into technical skills. Now you're into your rewrites again. That's consistent with the last one. Overview length, strategic positioning. Okay, you're positioning as general data analyst. You should be focusing on, should position with these here, and then you got your checklist. So again, you're getting to this point that you're refining. You know, Veena, you're trying to get to the version that works best for you. Instead of going out and paying for another tool that does a lot of this stuff for you, potentially you can get to a better place where maybe, you know, in your job search now, you can get a little bit more tailored into it. So again, I think this is a really great example to use to create a custom GPT. Now let's just go ahead and create it so I can show you what that looks like. So here was the question that came up in the chat here. Only me, anyone with the link, or the GPT store. Now, if you put it in the GPT store, it's going to be out there for everybody and anybody. And maybe something like this would be valid to put out there for anybody and everybody, but you might not want to. And, you know, maybe you just want to do anyone with a link. And I'm going to do this because in the Discord afterward, I'll go ahead and I'll throw this one into the chat and share it with you guys if you want to play around with it and look at it. You won't have access to edit it, but at least you can test it on your own. So now I have this here and I can view it as a GPT. So at this point, it is a fully functioning GPT. And it's available here within my GPTs on my sidebar. And anytime I want to click into it, I can just click into it. It takes me to this page, gives me some recommendations that I penciled in here, and you can ask it anything. And if you ever want to edit it, you can just click on Explore GPTs, go to My GPTs. Here it is right here in the mix. I can hit the little pencil icon, and I'm back to where I was, so I can do some more fine-tuning and refinement. So, yeah, I wanted to give some time for question and answer and see what people think about this, if it might be useful for you, or if you have any other questions that might be helpful. And thank you for being such a good participant, Veena. Like that's really a great example. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So
Sure.
I had created back a few months back. I had used like the Mind Studio. I think I showed you once. I don't remember, but like it's kind of like similar. Like you can create agents. It kind of you can give like high level instructions, and it will create like prompts and everything. So is it like similar to that? Means you can create your own agents and you can share it or put it. You are saying you can put it behind firewall, or can you monetize this?
You know, this one here isn't meant for monetization in the way that other ones are. If you were building a product that you had an agent inside of it, then that would be, you know, a little bit different. But what is cool is that this would be a really good prototype tool. If you were building a custom tool and you wanted to create and generate really good set of instructions, you could use this in a way that once you got to a good repeatable output, you know, go extract those instructions and put it into something else. You know, I've done this in like other tools before, like in 8N, as I was defining like an automation workflow, and I had an AI agent in the mix. I did it first and prototype it in here, and I threw it into this other tool as an agent to follow. Does that help?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Like, once I had created an agent which writes blog, it finds keywords, it gives output for the keywords, and once human puts the input, like which keyword they want blog on, they write the blog and like publish it, all that thing. But I was wondering if it is just on ChatGPT, means whether it will be monetizable or something like that. Yeah, thank you. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
you're welcome.
Rob, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I know you've done this in the corporate setting as well. Is there a way to, like, if let's say you and I worked at this on the same team at some company and we wanted to share one, but both be able to like edit it and build it and evolve it, is that something that can be done today?
I haven't seen that capability, and it's a really great question and a fair question because I ran into this problem earlier this week where I was working with a guy and we were making a custom GPT, and there was not a way for me to, let's say, if I hit the share button, I can share it with somebody, but it didn't give them access to be able to edit it. Okay. So the best way that we found to do this was within the prompt sharing piece of it. So yeah, so far, and I think that's a great feature that ChatGPT should introduce into here as a collaborative build on
Yeah.
these custom agents. But so far, I haven't
You can
seen
hire
it.
me to build it, you know.
I know.
Yeah,
Good
Yeah, I
Rob.
could
So,
just
question.
see like enterprise, like that's I'm sure that's a huge part of their business. So yeah, it seems like a
Absolutely.
natural extension.
my guess is that that's going to be one of the next things that they do.
Yeah.
There's another call that I was on that they shared a GPT, and I was
Mhm.
Hmm.
like, "Oh, can I share this with people?" And they were like, "No, it's password protected." And I was like, I was able to get the link to work, and I didn't do anything." And they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, don't share it with anyone, please." And I was like, "Okay." So I think a lot of people are going to run into that challenge. Um, yeah. Vina, I want to, so I was holding off on sharing any feedback on this idea. So I love the idea. I have some very specific perspective, I think, on just like the application process. And I think using this is very, very helpful for getting your resume into a strong place. But if you're planning to do that for every single application that you apply for, or even the majority of them, I really do think your time is best spent finding people and reaching out. I'm going to share a LinkedIn post that I wrote a couple days ago. And the third bullet actually breaks down the math. If there are 1,000 people who apply for a job, which is not a crazy number in the market today, if 1,000 people apply and a recruiter is going to spend 30 seconds on each application, it's going to take 8 hours of pure time just looking at every resume, right? That's not going to happen. So maybe they're going to use some of these tools. Maybe it's going to filter it. But if you think about it, how many candidates are they really going to bring in? 10, maybe 20. So how do you become one of those top 1 or 2%? It's unlikely that it's through your resume. It's much more likely that by doing some sort of outreach with someone, that all of a sudden they realize you're a real person. Because another problem is everyone's doing this. And a lot of
Yes.
these resumes are starting to they're starting to all look the same. And so that's why I do encourage like use these tools, use this to help, but at a certain point, the optimizations for your resume, the time you invest in that may not give you the return that you're looking for.
Yeah, yeah, that totally makes sense. Means I shouldn't spend 10 hours on tailoring the resume and 1 hour on networking. It should be opposite. Yeah.
But I think the case here is if you could take that 10 hours and make it like 5 minutes, then maybe there's some marginal value that you could get out of it. But yeah, generally, Elliot, how I operate, I fully
I
agree
Yeah.
with what you just said, but
Yes. Look, and again, like this is not saying that don't ever do it. It's just that
no, especially
like
today's
like like
economy.
how much does it improve your odds,
You just go on
especially in that
LinkedIn,
market?
one
yeah.
day old job, and already 300 people have applied to it. I I get your point totally.
Seeing
But
the
this is
other
a great use case.
might be
Like, this is
interesting.
exactly the sort of use case, right? Where it is potentially something that you would do repetitively,
Hmm.
that like you have a clear vision for what you want. The input changes, the output is going to be personalized for that input. So it is a great use case for it.
Yeah.
I
Thank you,
heard
Vina.
another. Yeah,
Oh,
thank you. I had another question popping up also.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob. So I've been kind of doing something similar kind of in the background here. I said, hey,
Yeah.
here's my LinkedIn profile in PDF, and
Uh-huh.
here's half a dozen jobs. Tell
Yep.
me, generate a resume for me. Tell me my ATS match. Um, kind of tell me the things I might need to do to get this job, and then, kind of what's the compensation ceiling, et cetera. But right now, all the stuff is just kind of living in a chat. And so, kind of that first part of like, let's create an agent piece is like, what are the actual mechanisms for creating the agent versus just having all this stuff living in some random chat? Because what you'd love to be able to do with something like this is essentially say, hey, scrape today's new LinkedIn postings for new jobs that look like this, and tell me if any of these are things I should be looking at, right?
So Robert, I'm gonna hop in.
Yeah.
Trying to scrape LinkedIn postings. So LinkedIn has a lot of restrictions for being
Right.
able to access their data.
Yeah.
So creating something that automates that
Hmm.
wouldn't be realistic.
Okay,
So
that's fair.
just for that context.
Yep.
But this is where like you could use like if you're comfortable of like using something like Claude Code, where you can
Hmm.
actually have like instructions and markdown files, and you give it a prompt and say follow these instructions, and you could give it a URL and have it navigate to the URL. So if you had the company's website and maybe you grabbed like 10 of them, or you put them in a file and told it, hey, go
Right.
to this file, and I put in all these URLs, like there would be a way to do that. And the job thing, I mean, Rob and Amanda know this. I'm actually building, like, there's a tool I've been building that at some point I want to open up the API for it. So you would be able to start getting all this data. There's like 500,000 jobs in it right now, but like I want to make sure that that's bigger and that gives you programmatic access that does almost exactly
Mhm.
what you want. But like right now,
Yeah.
LinkedIn restricts that because
Right.
if you go online, you'll find other people have tried doing specifically what you've done. And if you
Hmm.
try to get around it, and like for instance, you can go find like your auth token, like your
Hmm.
JWT, and you can pass it into a bot and get around it. Yes, exactly. LinkedIn profiles. Well, there's sometimes public access for LinkedIn profiles, but there's even still like they lock it down. And if you try to get around it, then they will like delete your account. And there's a couple startups that had built like a product that was based around like scraping LinkedIn data, and they'd raised
Yeah.
some money and they had done well. And then all of a sudden they woke up and then their LinkedIn profile was just deleted and they had lost all
Hmm.
access.
Wow.
Um, and so and that's also like a lesson for people who use the sales people who they go hire someone who like is able to log into their account. So while you're sleeping, they go out and send a bunch of messages.
Hmm.
LinkedIn is monitoring this activity. I don't know if
Right.
you've ever done this. I did this once where like I messaged like a bunch of people and all of a sudden I got an error that said, we are suspecting bot activity. And I was
Hmm.
like, no, I'm literally doing this. And then I stopped doing it because I didn't want my
And on the
LinkedIn.
naughty list, Elliot.
Right.
Every now and then.
Well, I know we're about 5 minutes out. Thank you all for coming, and we really appreciate Vina you stepping up and having a good example for us to kind of walk through as a group that many of us can relate to, or we've all looked for jobs at points. So yeah, thank you. And we are also looking for topics for future sessions. We do have our next one lined up, and I'll let Rob talk about that. But we're looking for topics. Sponsors as well. If you know anyone that works at a company that would love to work with us. Um, one other thing we've talked about kind of in our leadership circle is this concept of like expanding into having other small groups because there's some of us that meet more frequently and then we do these once a month. We haven't quite figured out like the best format or structure for that, but I know I've had a couple people reach out to me and say like, "Hey, I'd be interested in like starting up another small group where it's people that you don't work with every day and you can just kind of experiment with these things with no judgment." But yeah, that we're working on kind of how to best do that. But if you're interested in getting involved there, definitely let us know. Let us know in the Discord. But Rob, who will be joining us next month?
Yes. So next month, it's the last Thursday of the month, we'll have Simon Berger on, founder of Lemon Brand. And what I'm really excited to talk about here is that it's going to be a presentation on OpenClaw instances in a virtual private server setting. If you haven't heard about OpenClaw yet, it is a way to basically give an AI agent mass access to a system, and it can do just about anything you want it to do, from for write your emails, for you to book a flight for you, to I mean, just everything that's kind of covered there. So a lot that goes into it. If you do a quick search on OpenClaw, you will find a ton of information trending right now. So Simon's been on the forefront of that, and he's going to uh, be talking to us more about that in more detail. So if you're excited about that, yeah, come join us next month for sure.
And who knows where it will be in like 1 month, right? Like even in the past 2 weeks, I feel like I've seen so many different examples and like ways people are using it. Security still remains a big concern, so maybe there'll be some advancements around that.
Yeah, this is cutting edge here. It was just bought by OpenAI. Big topic on the news circuit right now. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. What I'm gonna do now, I just appreciate all of you for being here. I did put that presentation or the link to aidemoandlearn.com and the Discord invite in the chat. So if you haven't grabbed that, grab that and join us in the Discord. We'll share everything here. We will get the video for this posted pretty quickly after this call is the goal. So if you need to go back and rewatch it, or if you have anything else, please do. Um, Other things, yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll stop the recording and just kind of leave it open-ended. If I'll stick around for a few more minutes, if in case anybody has any additional questions. But otherwise, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, we will see you again next month. All right.
Yeah, bye, y'all.